In February 1836, 200 Texian defenders at the Alamo found themselves completely cut off, surrounded by a Mexican army numbering in the thousands. We know how that story ends. It was a grueling 13-day siege that resulted in the complete annihilation of the garrison inside the mission walls. But imagine dropping a massive historical anomaly into the middle of that courtyard. Two fully armed, modern AH-64 Apache attack helicopters. This simulation serves as a tactical case study in extreme asymmetrical warfare, examining the mechanics of a conflict where raw firepower is only one part of the equation. The real challenge lies in how 19th century infantry would process a 21st century threat, and how those modern machines could possibly survive without a modern supply chain holding them together. Santa Anna's forces were equipped with the best artillery of the era, giving them an absolute maximum effective range of roughly 1,000 yards. The Apache, meanwhile, carries AGM-114 Hellfire missiles, precision-guided munitions designed to accurately hit moving targets from up to 8 kilometers away. On a scaled map of the Alamo, this red circle represents the 1,000-yard Mexican cannon range. When we zoom out to overlay the Apache's 8-kilometer strike radius, the comparison becomes absurd. It can comfortably destroy artillery while hovering out of earshot. Even if Mexican forces moved under cover of night, the Apache's thermal imaging would pick up the heat signatures of thousands of troops, turning a stealth infiltration into an illuminated target range. If infantry lines did attempt to advance, the helicopter's 30mm chain guns firing explosive rounds would chew through their densely packed 19th century formations with devastating efficiency. A range disparity of this magnitude means the combat is completely one-sided. Santa Anna's army is entirely removed from participating in the engagement. They are purely targets. The physical destruction, however, would likely take a back seat to the psychological reality of the soldiers on the ground facing these machines. To an 1836 infantryman, an Apache is an incomprehensible horror. It's a massive, deafening, floating metal structure that defies their understanding of physics. Standing shoulder to shoulder in a 19th century firing line relied entirely on predictable, familiar threats. The sheer sensory overload from the concussive noise and impossible rate of fire of modern weapons would shatter that discipline instantly. Facing a threat that cannot be explained or understood would induce mass panic, breaking troop morale long before the Apache inflicted significant casualties. But the defenders have a glaring vulnerability. Complex modern machinery requires an equally complex modern supply line to keep it running. This chart plots the Apache's internal fuel capacity against the timeline of the historical 13-day siege. These helicopters burn through JP-8 jet fuel at a massive rate, meaning their flight time would hit zero in a matter of hours, not days. Furthermore, Apaches require intense specialized maintenance. For every hour of combat flight, they require several hours of mechanical upkeep, which would be impossible to execute inside a besieged adobe mission. These logistical tethers mean the defenders cannot sit back and wage a slow, defensive war of attrition. To survive, they are forced to leverage their temporary advantage into an overwhelming surgical first strike. Their operational weakness mandates a highly aggressive, immediate blitzkrieg. Operating under those constraints, the Apaches launch a singular, high-intensity sortie at the very start of the siege, aiming to break the Mexican lines before the fuel gauges drop. Mexican artillery batteries are vaporized by Hellfire missiles fired from beyond the horizon, and the terrified infantry formations scatter wildly through the smoke and dust. The grueling 13-day siege of historical record never happens. The entire engagement lasts precisely 20 minutes. Santa Anna's massive army is completely routed and deserts the field. The Republic of Texas is secured without a single defender dying.